Washington Journal continues.
Judicial Watch President Tom Fitton joins us at our desk. We've spent plenty of time covering your Freedom of Information Act lawsuits that you've had against the Justice Department and other agencies. Want to get your sense today of the job status of Rod Rosenstein. Do you think he should remain Deputy Attorney General?
I don't know. I think there's a significant challenge for the president. It seems to me there was a breach of trust by Rod Rosenstein. For those who haven't followed, New York Times reported that there were meetings or a meeting at the Justice Department with the FBI. It's not clear where it took place, but nevertheless, it was the top leadership of the DOJ and the FBI at the time. And Rosenstein, they were talking about investigating the President of the United States. And Rosenstein said something about wearing a wire in the Oval Office and supposedly suggested others wear wires in the Oval Office. On top of that, he talked about invoking the 25th Amendment or pursuing an area of inquiry there with at least 2 cabinet members at the time.
And we should note Rod Rosenstein has denied the details of this New York Times story.
Well, he said he wasn't. He said he was joking about the wire. He didn't deny that he discussed the 25th Amendment. So there's a significant breach of trust there, and it's up to the president to figure out whether he can trust Rod Rosenstein or not. If it were me, I wouldn't want him at the Justice Department, given that type of conduct. And you know, everyone says, "Well, what's the harm here?" Well, we didn't get the wire. At least we think. We didn't get the 25th Amendment, but something else was discussed. That was the special counsel. We did get this harassing special counsel. And the other part of the story is that Mr. Rosenstein was upset that he was drawn into the controversy about the firing of James Comey, even though he wrote a memo all but effectively endorsing his firing. And he didn't like having his name in there. And it looks to me like at a fit of pique, he appointed a special counsel to target Trump as a result.
You talk about trust. Who can President Trump, in your mind, trust in his own Justice Department right now?
Well, I don't think he knows who he can trust, because he's not allowed to talk to the Justice Department in any significant way, or at least that's what I think he's being told. He wants to be able to trust his Attorney General, but because of this Russia scandal, he is upset about what he's done in terms of recusal. And on this substantial matter, but the Justice Department is probably doing no bigger investigation than the Russia investigation. And Attorney General Sessions isn't overseeing it. Rod Rosenstein is. And now we know what Rod Rosenstein's attitude was to President Trump. So supposedly there's going to be a meeting on Thursday. Thursday's going to be a busy day. And if I were the president, I'd figure out, well, either I'm going to fire him, or maybe as an intermediate step, because if he does fire him, there'll be significant political consequences, and who knows, maybe Mueller will use this as another excuse to keep an obstruction investigation going, refer what he did to the IG.
Invite viewers to call in during the segment if you want to ask questions. Tom Fitton, president of Judicial Watch. Democrats can call in at 202-748-8000. Republicans 202-748-8001. Independents 202-748-8002. As folks are calling in, remind us right now what the status is of that document release that the president wanted of documents related to the Russia investigation.
It's on pause. He authorized the release of documents about the FISA warrant application, documents about Bruce Orr's communications with the FBI, about presumably his communications with this Fusion GPS group, and texts of certain individuals who were involved in the Russia investigation, like Andrew McCabe, Bruce Orr, and people like that, and Peter Strzok, obviously.
I assume your group wants to see those documents released?
Oh, we sure do. We're suing for most of them. We're suing specifically for the FISA warrant applications. We received already a portion of them, and they show the documents that have been released that the DNC dossier was misleadingly used to persuade the FISA court to grant a spy warrant targeting the Trump team. Now, those who have read the rest of the material, at least the material the president has initially authorized to be released, have said that it doesn't impact national security, it should be released. Supposedly the Justice Department was over there last week convincing him otherwise, or at least pausing it, saying, well, maybe the IG can look at things. I have to wonder if Rod Rosenstein was on that list of people who were over there visiting the president to persuade him otherwise. Mr. Rosenstein is a very important person in the Justice Department. He runs it day to day. He's the #2 official. He's a powerful man in government, and many of the issues the president has with the Justice Department is because Sessions isn't there to do the job he wants him to do, but because Rod Rosenstein is making certain decisions on transparency, on a decision to have this harassing investigation of the president, and the decision to stonewall and thwart Congress.
Let's chat with Craig first, a Republican in New Orleans. Good morning, Craig.
Hi, yes, calling from the outskirts of New Orleans. I want to say, first off, Tom Fitton, it's an honor to be on the same line with this man. But I typically, I would say 99% of the time, I usually agree with Tom. But, in this case, I have to say, I kind of think he's wrong. So what should happen to Rod is just beyond me. First off, what he did not deny it. So it's absolutely outrageous this man still has a job. How McCabe, Comey, how did all of these little cucks actually keep their job for as long as they did? Absolutely trying to go out of their way every day, 24/7, to destroy this president. And if I can also just follow up with who can this man trust? I really think there may be a handful of people in his administration that he can trust. And one of them, for surely is not John Kelly. I think there's possibly 2 or 3 people, but personally what I think needs to happen, and I'll be really brief, I believe he needs to fire every single one of those SOBs, fire basically everyone.
Got your point, Craig. Tom Fitton.
Well, the clean house approach wouldn't be the end of the world. Remember, a lot of folks have left the senior leadership of the FBI. Comey was fired. Andrew McCabe was fired. Obviously, we have new leadership at the Justice Department. And so top officials there, I think, need to be held accountable for discussions about an effort to overthrow the president.
Is the president being well served by John Kelly?
I think so. I think he likes him. I think Mr. Kelly has he's an effective manager for the White House, and I think the president appreciates that. In terms of the political analysis, the kind of the politics and who makes judgment calls for the president on politics, I think he's his own best advisor there.
Kim is in Clarksville, Virginia, a Democrat. Good morning.
Good morning. I just wanted to make a quick observation. I have not seen your guest before, Fitton, but he strikes me very much as a Nunez type, just twisting the truth for whatever purpose. I think the bigger picture here is a president who so many people have come out and said we need to consider the 25th Amendment. There's a reason why there's so many people coming out and saying the same thing, and that's what we really need to be looking at. And there's also so much division in this country already that's been put out there. And to suggest, we'll just fire everybody. Let's look at the real problem, which is the president and the way that he has divided this nation.
Well, I think there are a lot of people who don't like the idea that President Trump won the election. They thought it was Hillary Clinton's to have and to own. And because he is a disruptor in the positive sense for many Americans, that's not well appreciated by the swamp here in Washington, D.C. And that's why I think you get these strong reactions from both establishment Republicans and Democrats who don't like him. There's no justification to remove someone from office just because you don't like their tweets.
For viewers who don't know Judicial Watch, would you describe your group as a disruptor?
Oh yeah, we cause trouble for no matter who's in office. We've probably sued the Trump administration more than any other organization in the country, asking questions about what's going on, specifically on the Russia case and other issues that are important to the American people.
John is in Spring, Texas, independent. Good morning.
Yeah, I mean, you got 30 people who've been indicted and convicted of felonies that were associated with the campaign. I don't know what more proof you need to know that this guy is a lying, draft-dodging tax cheat. I mean, he had no business being elected. He's a scumbag. He can't say anything nice about Puerto Rico. The only reason Puerto Rico's in the shape they are is because Republicans changed the tax laws about 20 years ago and totally disrupted the whole economic economy over there in Puerto Rico. That's why this country, that area is so.
So, John, what's your question for Tom Fitton?
Well, I think, Rosenstein needs to stay, and, just because he thought he said something silly or he thought something or maybe joking around, I don't know. I mean, if people are around to talk, aren't they? They're not, this guy is a...
Got your point, John.
Well, the president may very well, believe it or not, agree with him in the end, that he was joking around and it wasn't a serious discussion. But in my view, the proof is in the pudding. What resulted from that meeting and those meetings and that attitude was this Mueller investigation that was unjustified.
I want to turn to the Brett Kavanaugh nomination and your thoughts on concerns expressed by Democrats that there hasn't been an investigation there, an FBI investigation into the allegations of Dr. Ford and now Ms. Ramirez as well ahead of Thursday's Judiciary Committee meeting.
They don't like the type of investigation that's taken place. Those who have made this accusation, Dr. Ford, Republicans on the committee have been trying to talk to for some time now. She's refused to talk to them. And now she doesn't even want to talk to their representative at the hearing, evidently. So this is just a lot of political noise. I wouldn't have objected to a quick FBI interview of someone coming forward like she did, but Senator Feinstein sat on it for weeks and weeks and weeks. And I think the conclusion one can draw is that Senator Feinstein vetted the initial charge because she didn't do anything about it. Or the other answer is, well, she sat on it purposely till after the hearings were over to blow up the confirmation process. You can have a quick investigation. I don't think we need a show trial. I don't think we need a circus. But we shouldn't have filibuster or smears to stop the confirmation of someone based on what are not strong charges against him.
How do you keep this from becoming a show trial or a circus on Thursday?
You don't have a public hearing. There's no need for a public hearing. You have a public hearing for the senators to vote as to whether they're going to allow his nomination to proceed out of committee. That won't necessarily stop their nomination. But the idea that you come in at the last minute with these types of allegations that are unprovable and or incapable of being disproved, because we already know Judge Kavanaugh disputes this. At least Dr. Ford doesn't have any corroborating evidence. What is the hearing going to show, other than it's going to provide an opportunity for more lawlessness? I attended the Kavanaugh hearings that were public last, I guess 2 weeks ago now. The disruption, the C-SPAN cameras don't give you an idea of just how disruptive the violent leftists were in that hearing. It's loud, they refuse to leave, they have to be dragged out by the police, and it's unbelievable. And on top of that, you had Democrats on the committee brazenly, like Senator Corker, trying to violate the rules put in place after the Anita Hill hearings to protect witnesses and those subject to confirmation. And with endorsements from the entire leadership of the Democratic side, I wouldn't allow a public hearing. This is just political gamesmanship, and someone's got to put a stop to it.
You say Corker there. You meant Cory Booker?
Excuse me, not Senator Corker. Cory Booker, that's right.
Delano's waiting in Conway, Missouri, Republican. Good morning.
Thank you very much for C-SPAN. I wanted to, Winston Churchill said, a lie will go all the way around the world before I ever get my boots on. I just pray that we can get the truth out of. There's two big lies that's already happened. This woman said that Trump split the nation. Trump, or not Trump. Another thing is that the Iraqi war was based on a lie.
That's Delano in Missouri.
I think my concern is that we've already had this smear of Judge Kavanaugh, and his opponents are never going to let him forget it. They're going to always pretend that the smear is accurate. And the question, I think, for the Republicans, are they going to allow the smear to be compounded through a circus-like hearing? Now, Ford's lawyers are suggesting she may not even testify this week. And if she's not going to testify on Thursday, then they should just, instead of having testimony, allow Judge Kavanaugh to say his piece and vote.
Vanessa, here in Washington, D.C., a Democrat. Good morning.
Good morning. morning. I wanted to make a comment about the whole Rod Rosenstein situation. I don't believe there's any deep threat or any conspiracy against the President of the United States. The fact of the matter is he has put himself in the position that he is in. Comey alone got him into office. So to say now that Comey is some type of operative trying to go against the President of the United States, I think it's nonsensical.
Well, the voters got the president into office, and the FBI bent over backwards to protect Hillary Clinton from the consequences of her illegal behavior, and at the same time, they were working with agents of Hillary Clinton to target President Trump in an unprecedented intervention in the campaign by the FBI and Justice Department, all on Comey's watch.
Linda is in Tennessee, an independent. Good morning.
Well, first of all, thank you for taking my call. And I wouldn't vote for Bob Corker for a dog catcher. He's here in Tennessee. And I agree. I think Judge Kavanaugh should be appointed. And Dianne Feinstein, she's so high and mighty, she needs to bring up Cory Booker, excuse rape, and so Keith Elston. Thank you.
Well, you know, we filed an ethics complaint against Cory Booker for his admitted violation of House rules that, if he's found liable for, would result in his expulsion. And I'd be interested in having a hearing on what Cory Booker did to just throw a monkey wrench into the operations of the Senate in such an audacious and outrageous way.
Have you heard back on your complaint? What's the process?
The process is you send a complaint and it's a black hole on complaints they don't want to act on. So we'll see what happens, but I think it's a challenge for the Senate to decide whether or not they're going to allow a senator, say, to tweet, I'm breaking the rules by putting these documents on the internet, and then allowing that to take place. I mean, these documents that were placed on the internet by Cory Booker were records that were given to the committee in confidence by the executive branch. And the law protects the confidential nature of those documents, and he just brazenly broke the rules and showed he had contempt for the rule of law in that regard. And other members who endorsed that, or some may have actually done something similar, should be also held to account. The question for the Senate is, and I think it's with these hearings as well, is it going to be, you know, the rule of law, the rules of the Senate, or is it going to be a mob rule approach to the way the Senate conducts business?
Sonny is in Roanoke, Virginia, Republican. Good morning.
Good morning. Hello, Tom. First of all, I want to say that it's a pleasure talking to you, and I don't think most of the viewers understand exactly what it is that you have done as far as being able to, all the lawsuits that you've had to have just to get paperwork and documents that the people are afforded to and have a right to see, but haven't because Congress or Senate refuses to hand it over. So, first of all, I'd like to thank you for all your work you've done there.
Thank you.
And second of all, as far as Rosenstein, I think he should be fired. You know, I'm tired of the Republicans always taking a back seat. We're always trying to look like we're taking the higher ground, and we're like, no, just let him do it, because public perception would be if you fire Rosenstein, then obviously, Trump is nefarious, and he's trying to, obstruct the investigation. And I say, to the devil with all the perception. I think we should have a clean house approach. I think we should get people in there that will do their job and do it right and stop worrying about the politicizing of this administration. And it's gotten to where this whole country is divided over what they're doing up there in Washington. So,
Tom Fitton.
You know, if there wasn't a Mueller special counsel, I don't think there'd be any question as to what the president should do about Rod Rosenstein. And it shows you why the Mueller special counsel is so disruptive to the presidency, because the president can't make basic personnel moves without worrying about what Mueller's going to do. He can't talk to foreign leaders without thinking about what Mueller's going to think of it. And he can't run his Justice Department and FBI, as a president ought to be able to do under our Constitution. So, in my view, the key issue is to end the Mueller investigation and to shut it down for all of those reasons.
The caller was talking about some of the work that you do at Judicial Watch. Can you talk about specifically some of the information you've been able to find out about the Mueller investigation or about the Russia investigation?
Well, you know, we found that the Justice Department was playing games with the courts, as I told you earlier about the FISA warrant application process. We all heard about Christopher Steele, who was a spy working for Hillary Clinton from the UK. Well, we have these FBI documents showing that he met with the FBI 13 times in 2016 and was paid 11 of them. So we have confirmation the FBI was paying Christopher Steele, but not only that, we have a document showing, as a result of our FOIA lawsuit, nothing Congress did, that the FBI in November of 2016 cut Steele off. Specifically, they deemed him not to be worthy as a confidential human source and told him not to collect any more intelligence on behalf of the FBI. Nevertheless, he continued to consult with Bruce Orr, and this is why these Orr 302s are issued, because then Orr told the FBI what Steele was continuing to tell him. So the FBI just threw out all the rules and used this disreputable source, as I said, to target President Trump, because they continued to use Steele to justify the FISA spying on the Trump team.
How many people work at Judicial Watch?
It's about 50.
Is it mostly lawyers working within the FOIA law?
Well, I'm not a lawyer, but we have a bunch of lawyers. We have a bunch of investigators and fundraisers and media and such. So it's traditional, not many nonprofits have a bunch of lawyers suing people, but we're doing a great work exposing what the government's up to. In the end, we're an educational foundation. We're just trying to tell you what your government's up to. And the way we do that is by going to court to get the documents they don't want to give you or Congress or anyone else.
And that was my other question. How do you pay those 50 folks?
Through contributions. So those of you who aren't supporting should join our cause at judicialwatch.org.
Nancy's up next in New Hampshire, a Democrat. Good morning.
Good morning. I have a couple of questions. With Judicial Watch, it seems to me that that's a real misnomer, because you seem to be the bulldog of the Republican Party. You were nowhere to be found when Merrick Garland was being denied a hearing and being obstructed. You folks do not at all look at government as for the people, by the people. This is all about Republican control and having the Federal Society handpick the Supreme Court going forward. You tie the hands of Obama's administration. You do not represent the judicial and the people. This is strictly, you're there for the Republicans. I mean, I'm looking at the 990 documents online, and there's nothing that Judicial Watch does that's all about this country. It's about supporting a conservative, hardcore conservative agenda, because the only things that you're going after are Democrats. The fact that this man may have molested somebody is okay with you Republican men? Where are you fathers? I don't understand.
Tom Fitton, give you a chance to respond.
Well, that's just a over-the-top response to someone this leftist doesn't like. And we are a conservative organization that targets both Republicans and Democrats. We often criticize and sue Republicans. As I said earlier, we're suing the Trump administration more than anyone else.
Time for a couple more calls. Al, Cedar Hill, Missouri, independent. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'd like to thank God for people like you, Nunes and Goodlatte, for bringing out the Democratic coup that's coming to light. I wish that Rosenstein wouldn't have obstructive, the stuff coming to light with the redactions. He's been slow walking stuff. So, but I'm glad to see you guys are doing something. I think you guys are heroes in my eyes, because I see a lot of stuff going on and none getting done. I'm surprised nobody's in jail yet. That's what really.
Tom Fitton.
Well, I think the effort to overthrow President Trump, and I think that's the way you ought to think about it, is the most significant corruption scandal of our generation. And we're going to spend a lot of time focusing on it. And if Congress doesn't want to do the work, if the media doesn't want to do the work, the media, which is largely anti-Trump, that's fine. But Judicial Watch is going to do the heavy lifting, and we're happy to be able to do it. And we're not going to be cowed by critics who hate Trump and therefore don't want the rule of law to protect him.
McKinleyville, California, Dave, Republican. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. I just remind people that before Trump nominated anybody to the court, the Democrats made it pretty well known that regardless of who he nominated, they were going to do anything in their power to prevent any Trump nomination from being confirmed to the court. And all I've been able to come up with is a single allegation by a woman. It's something that happened 36 years ago when Kavanaugh was in high school. But what I find most disturbing is that without a shred of corroborating evidence, several Democratic members of Congress have said that the burden of proof is on Kavanaugh to prove his innocence, even though anybody who served on jury duty has been told that the accused is entitled to the presumption of innocence until proven guilty. And it reminds me of what happened to the Duke lacrosse team a couple of years ago when a young woman accused several members of that team of rape. And without a shred of corroborating evidence, the university, the local district attorney judged them guilty. The accusation alone was considered proof of guilt, and the burden of proof was on them to prove their innocence. And, it just seems like our entire system of justice is being turned upside down. I don't know if these members of Congress are ignorant of our system of justice, or they just simply want to reverse our traditional system of justice in which the basic tenet is you're presumed innocent until proven guilty.
Tom Fitton, give you the last minute.
Well, it's a political process, but I hope it would be informed by the sort of legal traditions that you're talking about, that the presumption of innocence should be given to Judge Kavanaugh. There's nothing substantial enough to warrant a public hearing at this point. The accuser of Judge Kavanaugh doesn't want to cooperate with the committee. The committee should just move on. And quite frankly, just end when you have Democratic senators like the senator from Hawaii suggest that Judge Kavanaugh shouldn't be given the presumption of innocence because he's a conservative judge. It shows you that this is a political show trial that's being set up, as opposed to any real effort to get at the truth and provide justice for either the accused or the accusers.
Tom Fitton is the president of Judicial Watch. Appreciate the time.
You're welcome. Thank you.